So let's start with Bad Boys Ride or Die, or Bad Boys 4 if you've been following the franchise, which I haven't. This is the first Bad Boys movie I've seen, but we got invited to the screening.
You've not seen Bad Boys 2?
Thank you very much. James has seen
1 and 2, but when 2 was on Sky in the noughties,
Right.
and then I could not tell you a single thing that happens in those films apart from they're like a buddy cop duo and they're hard and badass, but also like domestic and middle class.
It's it was two Michael Bay movies originally. I think they were kind of like defined by, again, saying it as someone who's not seen it, but just aware of how they stand in the cultural canon. Over the top Michael Bay production values with violence that's slightly nasty, not afraid to have a little bit of blood, a bit of shooting.
And it's sort of one of the films you can point to as the tentpoles of Michael Bay popularizing his style of anamorphic. That sort of parallax, circular thing that he obviously did loads of the Transformers, cool, sweaty, sun-kissed, lens flare.
Yeah.
That style really...
This shit just got real.
This shit just got real. Now we gotta go do this.
Yeah.
Chain, vest,
Will Smith,
gun.
Martin Lawrence. Anyway, so then that was in the early noughties. Then it was kind of like on ice for like years. And then they made a third one, a reboot essentially, or like it's a sequel. So it's a third one. But belated in 2020, which on Wikipedia is called the fourth highest grossing film of 2020. But I think given that only four films came out in 2020, it's hardly a thing
All
to
the shops were
celebrate.
closed and we couldn't leave our homes as well. Yeah.
But that was a success at the box office. And now we have 4 years later, Bad Boys Ride or Die, directed by a directing duo who go by Adil and Bilal, who also directed the previous one and were the directing duo behind the Batgirl movie that got shelved. Do you remember that as a tax write-off a few years ago? Hugely controversial. Will Smith is Mike, Martin Lawrence is Marcus. I'd never seen a Martin Lawrence film. That's why I realised when I was watching this, I was like, I've never watched... Funny enough, James, I haven't sat down and watched Big Mama's House.
Or the sequel.
Or do you remember The Black Knight? That was the other thing he was in.
No.
Anyway, I've never seen a Martin Lawrence film. This was the first time.
First of many,
He's the
I hope.
funny one. Will Smith's the more serious one. They're
It's funny,
cops.
but Martin Lawrence's got that very expressive face.
Yeah, he did.
What the?
Stuff's going down. Basically, Will Smith's getting married to a woman 20 years younger than him.
Stakes, consequences.
And but then suddenly they are. The tagline is they're like on the run. They've been framed for something, but they didn't do it. So it's ride or die, which is, by the way, is an expression that's very American. I've never really understood what that means.
We'll ride or die, yeah. No.
Ride or die means I think I'm by your side. I'm with you to the end.
Yeah.
But it's not like no one says that here.
No.
I had to, the first time I heard it in a song.
We'd say
what does that
I'm
mean?
die hard for that. More likely to say that.
But that also doesn't, that ride or
Die
die
hard
is something
fan.
you'd say like to a friend or a buddy, but like, I'm your ride or die man.
Ride or die.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Ride or die. It's more American. Yeah.
It's like there's only two options: ride with you or die with you. I think.
I think it's like we either do this or we come back on our shield. You know.
Yeah.
It's ride or die.
Anyway, so we went to see it last night. I've never seen a Bad Boys movie before. James has seen two many years ago. Packed screening.
Packed, jam-packed. Lots
James,
of energy,
Bad Boys Ride or
lots
Die.
of booze. You know what? Surprisingly, not the worst film I'll watch this year.
No.
I actually thought it was a decent amount of funny. I think Martin Lawrence is having great fun in there, and I think therefore
The MVP, I think, actually.
that really sort of radiated out. Look, is it incredibly I think if you've got a 10 or 11-year-old boy. Go and you think it's I don't know what a rating it is, but it's probably the best film for them. I'm just surprised that it was actually a lot funnier than I would have assumed it was.
Yeah.
The action is fairly solid.
solid, yeah.
And I think the dynamic between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, there's this opening one where those two are at their best when they're in an unlikely situation at gunpoint when they're both trying to do very different things, but they end up being quite brilliant.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes, that is Bad Boys. The overlapping dialogue,
Yeah.
two people with great chemistry. That kind of works.
Yeah.
Is it really dumb? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really dumb. But of the other films I know I'm going to see this year, this won't go down as my worst film of this year. And that's my main takeaway. I thought it was surprisingly solid. Enjoy product placement from Skittles, Doritos, Snickers.
Yeah.
There's this thing where he can't have fast food because he's got a heart condition.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so all of these fast foods just getting dropped in.
The irony that they're telling you they're unhealthy while also product
and
placement.
I just I appreciated that. I don't think we would have covered Bad Boys for Life if we hadn't sort of got this invitation.
Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Sorry, Bad Boys Ride or Die if we hadn't got this invitation. But what I did appreciate was that the film's just about 2 hours long, and it didn't waste my time. It sort of moved through very few moments where I was bored. And it's medium funny. I definitely chuckled a few times. It's a lot of gags. Yeah. I don't really have many complaints. If you ended up having to watch it, you're not going to be bored.
I agree. I think actually, and I'll talk about this when I review Young Women in the Sea, but it was another exercise for me in, don't judge a book by its cover. No film. There's a film for every time and place and moment. Every dog has its day. Every film has its moment. And I was watching it, and you're right. Solid action, solid laughs, and in a packed screening room, the audience were really going with it. They were hooping and hollering and cheering and laughing. And you know what? That's actually brilliant. I think we undervalue or underrate how exceptional that is to have that, because we talk about, is cinema dying? What's it like going to the experience? That's brilliant to have that. Yeah. And I was thinking, because this is a really solid popcorn movie. This is really solid to watch on a plane as well. Like this is what it should be. And I think it felt right for the moment. I was, entertained enough. Yeah. And that's it. No, I'm not above this movie. This film has its right time. I felt like the directors understood exactly what this IP and this franchise should be doing. It's like, okay, we'll do a little bit of that, a little bit of that. It's going to be silly, but not too dumb, but also not too serious.
Oh, if you want to just really switch your brain off, and I mean really switch your brain off, fantastic.
Yeah.
And also, surprisingly, for, you get these belated sequels 10, 20 years on from the original, it's rare that it really feels like the spirit of the first one. So it almost felt like watching a film out of time. Like when I saw Matrix 4, that really didn't feel like we had just watched a new Matrix film from that era. It felt modern and weird and strange, and something about it was really off for me. Yeah. Whereas watching this opening, I was like, oh yeah, this is bad. Like, this is Bad Boys. We don't really get many films like this. We're just jumping back in, but it's new.
I also didn't get the feeling that you often get when you watch belated sequels of like, cool, a couple of dads running around like they were in their 20s. Yeah. I didn't get the impression that Martin Lawrence and Will Smith were a bit doddery, when they were running. I didn't think, these action scenes look a little bit strange. But no, they work.
And I didn't feel like they were just phoning it in, like sort of cash in. No. I felt like they wanted to do it. They went for it.
And as the only Martin Lawrence film I've ever seen, I can tell you, it's the best Martin Lawrence film I've ever seen. He really did surprise me about how funny he was, and he's doing a lot of the good work to keep you in that film.
It's a lot of catchphrase, a lot of one-line punchlines. There's a lot of times I wish the camera would just stop fucking moving. Like just there's drones swooping in and up, and the camera is always transition. Even if it's just a domestic house scene, the camera's always moving. And I was like, can we just get a tripod once?
I know, but that's the key. That's the secret. Be playful. Be playful. Keep it moving. That's it. Keep it slick. We've got a place to be.
So it's exactly what you think it is, but not in a negative way. I think it's sort of fine fun. If you found yourself going to see Bad Boys this weekend, I really think you wouldn't have that much of a bad time.
I totally agree. If you have seen it, Bad Boys Ride or Die, let us know your thoughts to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com.